Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm David Sultan Al-Baihaqi, and on this occasion, I will review one of the most interesting book to discuss, namely How to Talk to Anyone, Anytime and Anywhere by Larry King and Bill Gilbert. Okay, this book is one of Larry King's international bestseller on public speaking. Larry King is a very famous American television and radio host. One of the shows that made him so popular was Larry King Live on CNN, which at the time was the highest rated television program. The show became one of the interactive talk shows that gained fans all over the world and was broadcast live. In addition, Larry King was also the host of Larry King Weekend and Larry King Show for many years. This illustrates Larry King's capacity and recognition in his field. He has also received many awards, such as the Peabody Award, the 5S Award, and the Broadcaster of the Year Award from the International Radio and Television Society. Not only that, Larry King is also an active columnist at The Washington Post and an editor at The Diamond Magazine. And book in my hand prove that Larry King is also a very talented writer. Okay, because that, let's explore more about the content and message delivered in this book. Why I choose this book? There are two reasons why I like this book so much. First, it doesn't just cover general things, but also present technical and practical things based on real life experiences. When we learn something new, there is such a thing as theory, knowledge, and experience. This book reveals many things based on real experiences and stories, which make us think when we read the example given. We can feel connected to the situation and case described, as we may have experienced or will face similar situation. And the second reason is that Larry King discussed the art of speaking in various situations, starting from how to create a comfortable situation when speaking face to face, such as in the context of student or worker doing presentation, and also in television and radio hosts, talk show, public speakers, and business presentation. This is what makes Larry King and his book so special for me. The author doesn't generalize situation and condition, but discusses them in detail in every single case. With this, the book gives a more powerful and applicable insight for the reader, and we can learn from the experience of an expert like Larry King and apply it to situations that are relevant to us. That is why this book is very valuable reading material. Okay, I will share 3 big ideas that really made an impression on me in this book. The first big idea is audience is the king. Larry King really emphasizes that the key of successful communication in general and speaking in particular is to understand our target audience. In speaking, we need to understand who we are talking to, who our audience is, who is listening, and who our opponent are. When we can answer and understand this properly, we will be able to adjust the content of our speech and body movement according to the condition and situation needed. Knowing our audience is the first step we should take when we get the chance to speak in public. Knowing is not just being familiar. Larry King says that knowing means understand more about the psychological condition of the audience in their age range, the thing that usually interests them, the way they think, and the way they usually talk. This will really help us to start the conversation properly. Because research has shown that the audience only need the first 60 seconds to describe whether they will continue listening to us or not. Will they focus and pay attention to us, or perhaps their body and soul are present with us, but their mind is somewhere else? So, knowing who our audience is the first key we must learn if we want to speak effectively and master the art of speaking. The second big idea is listen more is the only way. This part is very important, according to Larry King. Have you ever seen or meet the person who keep talking without stopping, even though the listener or audience has become bored and no longer interested, both in what is being delivered and the speaker itself? Maybe we have all experienced this situation. Well, Larry King in this book has given an example of this kind of condition and situation. Speaking is always and mainly based on a two-way interaction. So it's not just one-way performance. What's the difference? Performance have a one-way characteristic where we have to look perfect and engage the audience. The motivation is to get applause and admiration from the audience. However, in speaking and conversation, it's different. It's two-way interaction. And the motivation is for the other person or the audience to understand what we are saying and even be inspired or engaged by it. So, as speaker, we have to listen more. What more? In order to develop our sense of public. This is also one of the parts that interests me for this book. This book doesn't only discuss theory, but invites us to dive into condition and situation in the real world. Okay, for you who have an interest in communication or the art of speaking, listening more will actually train us to build empathy and feel the mood of the audience. More than that, according to Larry King, the plus value is that we will have many perspectives that we can refer to when needed in certain situation and condition. For example, imagine if you were suddenly asked to give a speech or point of view without any structured preparation. This situation can cause confusion and anxiety, right? But by listening more, we have a wealth of knowledge that we can use. For example, we can share stories about other people's experiences that we have heard. By describing the story, we can speak fluently and influence others with our words. Let's look at the concrete example. If we are suddenly told to deliver a speech on how to achieve the goal. We can tell a story like example on how to achieve the goal. We can imagine there's a person who wants to open a cafe in the city. Instead of using on an advertisement or brochure that could be missed by many people, he take a creative action. He give free coffee samples to people walking around his cafe and put up an attractive banner around his business location. This unique approach managed to catch the attention of potential customers and give them a chance to experience the product for themselves. Because this decision made the cafe business become a hot topic of conversation in the city and increasing its chance of success. This example teaches us that sometimes, in order to achieve goals outside of expectation, we need to dare to step outside the usual limitation. Okay, that the example only illustrates the situation when we are faced with a difficult question. and we are confused what the answer. We can take other people's story that we have heard or read as a reference. In other words, the more we listen, the more we read, the more we learn, and the more we can share. Okay, and the third big idea is simple is the key. What does simple mean for narrating? Okay, the storyline or example we are telling should be easy to understand. In speaking, we need to make sure that the story we tell has a clear plot so that it can be easy for the audience to understand. And second, the language we use must be easy to understand. If there are jokes or funny parts that we want to include to entertain the audience, make sure they are also easy to understand and can make them laugh together. In other words, the more we are able to deliver presentation, speech, or materials in a simple way, including the use of language, gestures, example, and a good storyline, the more our message will be remembered by the audience. Indeed, engaging the audience directly can also make them more connected to what we are talking about. And finally, the key to public speaker success actually depends on the information we deliver to the audience. At the higher level, the audience can be affected by what we say. And at the highest level, the art of speaking is about how we can motivate the audience to act based on what we say. To reach this point, the use of understandable language is one of the most effective ways to transfer the idea, insight, and thought that we have in our mind to others' mind. Okay, that's a brief review from this book. I personally highly recommend this book for you to read if you have interest in communication, especially public speaking. Okay, thank you for watching this video until the end. Hopefully the information can be useful for us. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you in next video. Bye bye.